I'll be speaking on the theme of the conference or program is building leadership, developing leadership potential in third world countries. But I will be talking on building capacity with education and training, developing leadership potential in the third world countries. I would like to first of all define leadership. I often define leadership as the capacity to influence the way a person or people think, the capacity to influence the way a person or group of people, could even be a group of people in a community, and that also includes the state or a nation. It is the capacity to influence the way they think, thereby influencing the way they see themselves, the way they see others, and the way they see things generally. That is what leadership helps to achieve. It actually changes the mentality of an individual or group of people or an organization, community or nation. And that is the work of a leader. A leader helps people to move from where they are by affecting or influencing the way they think, the way they see themselves. Leadership helps people to see themselves not the way they are, but the way they should be. Leaders see places, they see things, not the way the place is, but the way the place could be. It's about changing the way people think. It's about changing the mindsets from point A to point B, from negative to positive. That's the power of leadership. That's the power of leadership. So today we are looking at how leaders develop this attitude. And we're talking about leaders in the third world countries. Third world countries. Now, is an interesting topic when we talk about the third world. Who are those referred to? Which country are those countries referred to as third world countries? Here it says the term third world is often or rather the word third world or is used to describe nations with developing economy in infrastructure and has a lower standard of living compared to industrialized countries. That is, these are countries that has not benefited from the industrial revolution. Now, what are some of the characteristics of these third world countries? This includes low GDP per capita. We have limited access to education, healthcare, and basic services. We have things like high poverty and income inequality. Then we have dependency on agriculture, or primary as their primary industry. Then we have limited infrastructure, e.g. roads, electricity, internet. Some of these countries referred to as third world countries are also known for the political instability and corruption. Furthermore, they are also characterized by vulnerability to natural disaster and climate change. The country that are among or that are in this class includes Africa. In Africa you have Somalia, you have Ethiopia, then you have the Asia. In Asia you have Afghanistan, Cambodia. In Latin America you have Haiti, then in Pacific Island you have countries like Guinea, and so on and so forth. Now, the term third world is often now is becoming outdated. Now we can hear words like developing countries, low income countries, emerging markets, global south, less developed countries. So these are the countries that we are looking at today, developing this country, the leadership potential in these countries. I want to come from a different perspective today, different from what most people do in talking about developing potentials, leadership potentials, especially building capacity. I want to talk about one major challenge with third world countries. These countries that are referred to as developing countries, so to say. And one of the major challenges I want to talk about before I proceed into those areas that can be developed, like, those areas of potentials, capacity building that can be enhanced and developed, is what I call mindset, leadership mindset. Leadership mindset. Yes, because it starts with the mindset. It starts with the mindset. In most of in these countries that are referred to as third world countries, these are countries that have been a victim of struggle. They've been victims of slavery. They've been a victim of negative influences. And this has resulted as well to what I call survival mentality of the leaders in this country. so-called countries. It is very hard for an individual or a group of people or community or nation to achieve greatness without the right mindset. As a matter of fact, I wrote a book called Leadership Mindset. And some of these things I talked about in the book. Because the mindset is the foundation to every other thing. Is the foundation. The mental structure of an individual or group of people or a nation is more important than its physical structure. The mental structure of an individual, the mental structure of a community of people or a nation is more important than the social structure. It's more important than the economic structure. It's more important than the political structure. The mental structure of an individual or a nation is more important because that's what gives birth to. When you have a nation or people whose mental structure are anti-success, it's difficult to achieve greatness. I must say that nations are God's idea. Nations are not human idea. And if we are going to succeed in building the third world country, if we are going to succeed in building Africa, if we are going to succeed in building Nigeria, as an example, we must seek the principles for building a successful nation. Nations are not just built just on intellectual prowess or wisdom. Nations are built, successful nations are built upon principles, upon laws, because the world is built and established by principles. Everything you see in life is built and established, controlled by principles. And that is why it seems to me that the more we complain, for example in Africa, in Nigeria, the more we complain, the more things become worse. The more we come up with intellectual solutions, the more we protest and do all manner of things. It seems to me that things keep getting worse. We must seek solution. There has to be a solution. But I've come to realize that the solution we need is going to come through men, through us, but it's not going to come from us. Because man has tried all that he could on his own. But it's time for us to seek the truth. It's time for us to seek what makes things work. We have to seek. We must begin to change our mindsets. We must begin to change our way of thinking in Africa and in the third world countries. We must begin to look at things from a different perspective. Again, like I said, most of these countries that I refer to as third world countries are countries that have been victims of colonial slavery. They've been victims of oppression, and they have carried that same mentality into leadership. Permit me to say that our political culture, especially in Africa, will not produce the right leaders, because we have been soaked, we have been influenced by this culture of selfishness. Because of the way some of these leaders has been influenced, because of their mindsets, they've carried that same mindset to the public offices. And I dare tell you that most of these leaders, they may never be a change from what we are experiencing today. One of the greatest attitude that kill leadership is selfishness. And that is what you see in our leaders. They are more interested in their pockets than in the lives of the people. So, I say that we must begin to look inward. We must begin to look inward to have to have a better mental structure. To think. Our leaders must become principle-centered leaders. They must become principle-centered leaders. The next thing I would like to talk about, having talked a little bit about the leadership mindset, I would like to talk about one other important quality that we must develop through education, through training and mentorship. It's a leadership quality that we must encourage and develop. For a nation to progress, for a nation to be developed, there must be a guiding vision. There must be a vision. And the vision can start with one person. The vision can start with one leader. But it must become a national vision. It must become a common vision of the people. Not a vision for yourself, but a vision for the people. Any country that will experience development, or let me put it this way, any country that has experienced development in its resources, whether it's in agriculture, whether it's in technology, whether it's in resources in the earth, on the ground, in the air, there has to be, first of all, a vision. You know, my Bible tells me that where there's no vision, the people perish. There has to be a vision. When you look at some of these third world countries, they have this in common. There's no clear-cut vision of where the country is going to. Look at Nigeria, for example. As an individual, let me ask you a question. Do you know what Nigeria stands for? Tell me, please. Can anyone here tell me? What is the vision of Nigeria? Nigeria is a country without an ideology. It's a country without a vision, a country without a purpose. And there's no country that can experience development without a common vision. But I want to encourage that we must begin to change things. We must begin to change the narratives. We must begin to do things right. There must be a vision. The vision can come from the leader, one person. Again, I said not a vision for the end. That vision should be communicated to even the child in the school. Then it must become a culture. It must become a culture. A vision that tells everyone this is where the country is going in the next 5 years. I understand that for most of the political leaders, they come into the office with a short-term vision, either for 4 years or 8 years, in terms of, for example, in Nigeria. But with a vision, a leader can project beyond his office. Because leaders don't think in terms of political office. A leader must think in terms of the next generation. So we can cultivate and we can run with that vision, grow that vision, even as the next political leaders come in. That is what we must do. And it's going to start. Without it, it will be difficult. It will be difficult. Most of these countries have spent years. But these are some of the problems that they are having. Now, something else that I said, another area that we must look at in terms of developing leadership potentials in the third world country, in Africa, in Nigeria, to be specific, is the management of resources. There has to So I said that it starts with the mental capacity. Can we look at one other important, and I will be closing with this, and it has to do with strategic planning. Strategic planning. We must build the ability to think strategically. What is strategy? Simply means imagination. It means thinking into the future. The third world countries, Africa leaders are not, for most part, are not long-term thinkers. They are not long-term thinkers. They think more of the immediate. Again, like as I said earlier, especially the political leaders, they think of the next election. But in strategic thinking, as a people, as a nation, we need leaders that can think and plan for the next 20 years, the next 50 years. This is what countries like China, America, these developed countries, this is what brought them. So Africa, leaders in Africa, in the third world countries, we must begin to think beyond now. And that will happen when you are not thinking about yourself. Leadership is about living for others, not living for yourself. Leadership is about sacrificing for the generation yet unborn. Leadership is not about power. It's about empowering people. It's about helping others. I say it again and again. One major challenge Nigeria is the leadership mindset. In my own opinion, that's where it must start. We therefore should think how to organize trainings, education from the primary level to the university level, formal, informal. There must be trainings, formal, informal trainings, mentorship as a tool to culture a new attitude, a new mindset, a new mentality. Leaders must have a vision that is beyond today. When you come to a community as a leader, see beyond what the community is. See beyond what the nation is today. You must have a vision of a better future. Vision gives hope. When you as a leader can communicate a vision for the people, it brings hope to the people. Today, why are people glamoring? Today, why are people carrying placards, protest everywhere? It's because the people are hopeless. Vision brings hope. The leaders must do everything possible to bring hope. Some are telling us that they came with a renewed hope. But in my own opinion, that hope is for them and their family. Give hope to your nation. To me, that is the essence of leadership. That is the essence of leadership. Then with that kind of vision, we can manage our resources.